Hey YouTube, it's Karen San Diego. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. Today I'm coming at you with another story time video, pregnancy related story time video about my unexpected emergency C-section. But before I get into that, stop what you're doing. Make sure you go down below, hit that red subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you can see more videos from me. Okay, I want to get right into this video. I don't want to make it too long, but as you know, storytime videos, they tend to be long ones. So if you've seen my last YouTube video that I posted, I will link that in the description box. I recently had a baby. My baby girl Ryan was born about 2.5 weeks ago. She is amazing. She is beautiful. She is perfect. She is smart. She is the apple of my eye. And she was born via emergency C-section. And this came as a complete shock to me, which is why I'm making this video, because I feel like there is an abundance of information out there about traditional vaginal births, about epidurals, about contractions, about everything to do with regular vaginal labor. But when it comes to C-sections, I just don't feel like there's a lot out there preparing us for that. There certainly wasn't much that prepared me for that. I did not think that it was a possibility for me. I was fully prepared mentally and like physically, as in like my hospital bag. I was fully prepared for a vaginal birth, and then I got to the hospital and that was not what was happening. And mind you, as I'm about to get into in this story, I got to the hospital on a day when I was not planning on having a baby because I had an emergency C-section. It was not my due date. I was about 4 weeks away from my due date. I was not prepared for this, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's bring it back. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Now, as I said in my last video, and once again, if you have not seen that video, make sure you click the description box and watch my video about my story about how I found out I was pregnant. But as I explained in that video, I have a condition called incompetent cervix. And incompetent cervix means that my cervix, after the point of about 5 months of pregnancy, usually around 20 weeks, my cervix can no longer naturally on its own hold the pregnancy, and it causes me or anybody who has incompetent cervix to go into early labor. So because of incompetent cervix, I had to have a cerclage placed at 13 weeks of pregnancy. And what a cerclage is basically is if your cervix is kind of like, if this your cervix is like a U shape up here, the doctor places a stitch around your cervix that keeps it closed and long, so that to keep the pregnancy going, basically. In long story short, I will make a whole other video about cerclages and incompetent cervix, but for now, this is my very brief summary of what that is. So I had a cerclage placed at 13 weeks. The cerclage did its job. It got me all the way to full term without any complications. However, so I have my cerclage placed at 13 weeks, and I was given the instruction that at 36 weeks, I would have the cerclage removed. So as I got closer and closer to that 36-week mark, I started to do research on what happens when the cerclage is removed. And basically what I read from mom forums online, from like Baby Center and these websites, a lot of people said that when you go in and get your cerclage taken out, because like I said, their cerclage is holding the cervix closed. When they take the cerclage out, a lot of times you automatically will just start going into labor. So because I had read that, I had started preparing for that to happen. So basically what I did is I put these faux locks in to just get ready as like my labor hairstyle. I did that the day before my cerclage removal. I packed my hospital bag. I put my hospital bag in the car seat, in the trunk, just in case. But as I read, I think it was like a 3% chance that you actually go into labor after a cerclage removal. So I knew it was slim, but I still like to be prepared for any and everything. So I made sure that I was prepared in the event that that happened. So now it's the day that I'm 36 weeks pregnant. I get into the hospital. When you go into the hospital, they put me into labor and delivery. They told me that my doctor was going to perform the cerclage removal in the labor and delivery triage area. And just so that you know, just to add some context to the situation, when you get the cerclage put in, it is a surgical procedure. You are brought into an OR. You are given an anesthetic that is similar to an epidural. It's not an epidural, but it's like an epidural, so it's given to you like spinal type of thing, and you can't feel nothing. Like literally nothing. Like you're awake for the whole procedure, but you can't feel a thing, similar to how it would be for a C-section. So like just like they're cutting into you, but you can't feel anything. So however, when it comes to cerclage removal, it is done without any pain medication. So I get to the hospital, I'm put into triage. They automatically put that contraction monitor thing on my belly. They put the heart rate monitor, and then they hook me up to like the thing they put on your finger to check my heart rate. Standard stuff, nothing crazy. So I'm sitting there, I'm in the bed, waiting for my doctor to come, because the nurse had told me my doctor was going to do the removal right there in triage, because it was supposed to be like a 1, 2, 3 thing, and she'll be there. So this was around, I got to the hospital at about like 10:30, 11 o'clock, somewhere in that vicinity. So I get to the hospital, my doctor's there, but when I get there, my doctor is delivering another baby at that moment. So she doesn't come to me right away. So I'm in triage, and I'm hooked up to the machines, and I start to feel weird. Now, I was feeling weird, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what exactly I was feeling. So I'm just there, and I'm on my phone. My husband is with me. He's sitting there on his phone. We're not like expecting anything. We're really just waiting for the doctor to take the cerclage out so we can be on our way. About an hour passes, and the nurse comes to check on me, and she walks over to the machine, because like I'm hooked up to the contraction monitor. She comes over to look at the machine, and she's like, "You don't feel that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel something, but what is that?" So she shows me the machine, and I'm contracting. Like, I keep going to get ahead of myself. At this point, I'm 36 weeks pregnant. I'm not completely full term. I'm 36 weeks pregnant to the day. So she's like, you're contracting. I'm like, oh, those are probably like Braxton Hicks or something, right? They're not real contractions. So she looks at him and she goes, no, these look like real contractions. So I'm like, what? I'm like, I feel them. They hurt a little bit, but they can't be real contractions. Like, I'm still like not processing what she told me. And if you watched my last video, you know that I'm a processor. Like, I need time to process things. And I had not, like, my brain told me I'm 36 weeks pregnant. These can't be actual contractions. She leaves. She doesn't come check on me again for like maybe about another like 30 minutes to an hour. And during that time, the contractions had now started to ramp up a little bit, to the point where I wasn't in excruciating pain, but I'm feeling them. Like, I'm starting to feel these contractions, and it's starting to become more and more evidence to me that these are not fake. These are the real deal. And I'm here to get my cerclage taken out. So I'm like, but how? Like, at this point, they hadn't even touched me yet. Like, I was told that it was possible that once they take the cerclage out, that like what they're doing could like trigger labor. But no one told me that simply walking into the hospital for a cerclage removal could start labor. Like, only me. This would only happen in my life. Only in my life, literally. Okay, so that was, I got there at like 10:30, 11, 12. The doctor comes back in. I came in for the first time. So now it's about 1 o'clock. The nurse comes back in again, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna call your doctor because you're definitely contracting. Like, they're amping up now. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling that. So she calls my doctor. My doctor, like I told you, was delivering a baby. So my doctor comes about another hour after that. So I want to say maybe now it's like 2:30 and my doctor shows up. So my doctor comes in, she looks at the thing, she sees that I am contracting now. And she's like, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and try to take the cerclage out. So she, mind you, I'm in triage. So in triage, they don't even have the little things to put your feet in. So they kind of just take a bedpan, they scoot it under my bum, and then they have me like raise up. My husband's there holding my hand because I'm preparing for this to be painful, because like I said, they put me in under an anesthetic to put it in, but to take it out, they're not giving me any pain medication. So I was bracing myself for that. So they put the forceps in. My doctor starts to proceed. They put the light there. There's like 6 doctors in the room observing the cerclage removal, because apparently the residents at this hospital had never seen one done. So they're watching this happen. My doctor is there. She's trying to take it out. So I'm noticing that like she's like repeatedly asking for like different scissors. She's repeatedly like, like, can you take a look at this? So I'm getting the idea that something is wrong. And while I'm getting the idea that something is wrong, I am in excruciating pain to the point where I'm crying. And while I had read that this could be a little painful, nobody said it was going to be painful to the point where I would be in tears. Keep in mind, I have a very high threshold for pain. And I was in tears. My husband is like, he looks like he's almost in tears watching how it's severe, watching the level of severity that I was, what am I trying to say? Watch how much I was in pain, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And after about, I want to say 30 minutes of them trying to take this cerclage out, my doctor finally puts the scissors down. I'm in tears. She looks at me and goes, it's embedded. She's like, the cerclage is embedded. It can't come out this way. So she says that, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean exactly? So she tells me that basically the cerclage is embedded in my cervix. It would not be able to come out right here in triage, that it would have to come out surgically. And usually what they'll do is they'll take it out surgically when they deliver the baby via cesarean section, via C-section. So she tells me, you know what, at a later date, we're gonna, in about a week or so, we'll have me come in for a scheduled C-section and we'll take it out at that point. And she said that the risk involved here is that if I was to go into labor, then I could bleed out because since the cerclage, we're going back to my little diagram here, because the cerclage is embedded. So whereas originally it's supposed to be just like some string holding this together, the string that's holding my cervix together had then grew into my cervix and skin grew outside of it. So because of that, it's a serious situation, because now if my cervix would start to dilate, which is how the baby is born, this is the baby's head, cervix dilates, baby comes out. If this would start to happen, given that my cerclage had grew skin over it and had now become a part of my body, if it was to start to separate, I would start to bleed and I could potentially lose enough blood for me to die. Like, that's how serious of a situation it had become. So she said, we want to take it out before. So she said we wanted to take it out before you go into labor so that this is not a problem. Only problem is I had already been contracting for like the past 3 hours. So once the nurse points that out to her, she was like, hey, but like looks like she's in labor now. So the doctors and the nurses go out and they talk about it. They come back in and they're like, hey, yeah, so we're looking at your charts over here. Your contractions are continuing to intensify. We're gonna go ahead and do the C-section today. So I'm sitting here like, mind you, I'm still in tears from the pain of what was just happening. So I'm kind of disoriented at this point. So this is like 3:30. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, today? What do you mean today? I'm like, today as in now? And then my doctor looks at me and she was like, yeah, today as in like at 4. And I'm like, PM? Mind you, it was 3:30. So she's telling me that in the next 30 minutes or so, I'm gonna have a baby. I was 36 weeks pregnant. A baby? Like, what? Like, what? Like, I was not understanding. And like I said in this video, and like I said in my last video, I'm a processor. I need time to process things. And nobody was giving me time to process anything. It was like, hey, this is happening now. As in today. As in 30 minutes. Literally at that point, like, I called my mom, my husband starts calling who knows who, I don't even know. Like, I'm still trying to process. Like, we're telling everybody like, hey, this is happening right now. Come to the hospital. Ryan is about to be here. It is go time. Let's go. And literally as I'm calling people, like, they're moving my little bed thing. They got me in a room, and like the anesthesiologists are coming in to talk to me. They're giving me papers to sign, and I'm still here like, today? As in today. So the 30 minutes that they said it was in the past passes. It is now about 4:15 and I'm in an OR. So I'm in the OR. They have my husband step out of the room. They give me the epidural, similar to what happened when I got my cerclage put in. Although I remember the epidural being a lot more painful that time. This time I was just so confused that I don't even think I felt the epidural happen. Like, I don't have much memory of how that happened. I just know that they did something and then I couldn't feel my legs and then I couldn't feel my butt. And then there I was laying on the bed. My husband came back in. and the C-section started. So C-sections, you're wide awake for the surgery. That's one. They put like the blue tarp over you. If you've seen anybody that had a C-section, you most likely have seen this. It's like a blue thing over you, basically, so you can't see them butchering your stomach. Like, they're literally cutting into you. Nobody wants to see that. So they put the thing up to cover it. You have an epidural. Epidural it does its job. Like, you really can't feel anything. You can't feel pain. Let me not say you can't feel anything. You definitely feel like tugging. Like, you feel that somebody is touching you. Like, kind of if you do this to your arm kind of tight, like that's what it feels like. It feels like somebody is pulling at you, tugging at you, but it doesn't feel like pain. While this is happening, so there, and mind you, so they have the tarp up over me. I can feel that they're clearly cutting into me. They're clearly tugging. I can hear the doctors talking about what they're doing. My doctor had like a resident with her, or an intern or something with her, that she was like explaining all the steps. So I can hear what's happening. So I know where she's at in the process because I'm listening to her. But I'm still processing. Like, it still had not hit me that they're about to pull a baby out of me. Like, it's still a baby. Like, it had not hit me yet. So I'm still sitting here like, and then out of nowhere, I just felt this nausea come up, and I just started throwing up. And there's an anesthesiologist next to me, and he has a bucket. I don't know where the bucket came from, but he just had this bucket in his hand, and I'm throwing up, like throwing up. My husband is like trying to like help me somehow. He's like grabbing for my hair. I'm throwing up into the bucket. As I'm mid-vomit, I can hear Ryan cry for the first time. I heard the little baby wah, wah, wah noises from behind the curtain, and automatically all I'm thinking about is like, oh my god, I need to clean my mouth. Like, don't let her see me like that. As if she knows that like this is her mom covered in vomit. Like, obviously she's not thinking about that. I'm trying to get myself cleaned. My husband starts crying. I actually didn't cry automatically just because I was still processing what was going on. Honestly, it had all happened so fast that I did not have time to process at all. So he starts crying. They bring Ryan over to me, but they bring her over so quick that they're just like, here. And they like put her on my chest, and then they took her back. And they take her back, and then they're like, oh, she's perfect. And then they go from, oh, she's perfect, to, oh, she's not breathing properly. We're taking her to the NICU. Mind you, I'm still processing the fact that I just had a baby, and now you're taking her away. I didn't even get to see her properly at first. They took her, they said she's not breathing properly, we're taking her to the NICU, and then they took my husband as well. So they're like, Dad, come with me. My husband's goes out of the room with Ryan. Ryan's out the room, and I'm here left by myself. And I start to get so overwhelmed that I just freaking pass out. I'm out for the count. I don't know if I was sleeping or if I genuinely passed out from like confusion, but I did not wake up until the end. Like, by the time I woke up, I was being brought into recovery. Like, that's how much I freaking passed out. So after about 2 days in the NICU, she was able to come back downstairs with me, and we left the NICU. No, we left the hospital after being there for 3 days. What kind of 3 is that? For 3 days we stayed in the hospital, and then after that she was able to come home. Luckily for me and luckily for her, she progressed really well in the NICU, and they saw no reason to keep her. They said that her breathing issues at birth were due to the fact that it was an emergency C-section, and she just was not ready to come out. Like, usually when a baby is born vaginally, the contractions and the fact that they're like squeezed out help their lungs prepare for breathing, and because she did not go through that, it caused her to just have a little delay in being able to breathe on her own. But she recovered from that really quick and was able to be back in the room with me after just 2 short days in the NICU. So I'm so grateful for that, and we are so blessed to have just a small hiccup in the story about how she got here. And now she's 2.5 weeks old. She's amazing. She's beautiful. She's progressing lovely. She's, in my opinion, advanced for her age, and I'm not just saying that because I'm her mom. If you'd like to see a video about how I recovered from the C-section, because like I said, it has been about 2.5 weeks, and I am starting to feel pretty much back to myself. So if you want to see a video on postpartum recovery after a C-section, let me know in the comments, and I can get that right to you. So thanks you for watching this video. Make sure to give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video.